Album rollouts. Some artists have really short rollouts. Some artists have really long rollouts. Some go on for a little bit too long. Some are really creative. Some people just clear their socials and make a post. What happened to the art of an album rollout? So recently I was on TikTok and I saw this video, which I'll put right here.
Album rollouts just don't hit the same anymore. A rollout is the road to which an artist or band releases music. The anticipation, the imagery, the themes, the build-up. But in the last few years, I feel like these rollouts have been really boring. Okay, for real, get out of here. Put me in a story, put me in a theme, create some kind of world. I'm just saying, a lot had me questioning if social media ruined the drive, the power. But if I see another random IG feed delete or a 200 comments and I'll drop music tonight, I might lose my faith.
Of course, this video really got me thinking, I haven't seen a good album rollout in a while. That's a lie, I have seen a good one, and that was Quedeka's Vanisher rollout. But I still feel like that one went on for a little bit too long. And it really reminded me that a lot of the artists that I've been listening to lately haven't been doing creative rollouts at all, or rollouts in general. If you think of artists like Tyler the Creator, Kendrick Lamar, secret third option that I can't think of right now, nobody has really been doing a rollout for their album. They just kind of say, album dropping next week, which is fine. I mean, I guess it keeps your fans excited and they don't have to be on their toes for months on end. I think that a lot of this has to do with the audience's lack of attention these days. More than that, I think that artists really just want to put their art out there and not have to create these elaborate sort of worlds. Nobody really wants to take the time to create these insane websites or scavenger hunts or all of these different accounts for people to find. Nobody really wants to make this sort of like immersive thing for fans to dive into anymore. And I'm not saying like nobody, because I know that there's a bunch of artists out there who are still doing crazy fun rollouts for their fans. But I've found instead of doing like pre-album rollouts, a lot of artists tend to do fun things for the album sort of like post-release, which is something that I really wanted to get into, sort of why nobody really has that attention these days and why a lot of artists are finding it sort of easier to do things a little bit after the album's already out. So before we get too deep into it though, I do want to say hi, welcome. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sanji. This is my channel where I talk about music and music related things. Today's music related thing is obviously album rollouts, but if that is something that you seem to be into, you are welcome to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And now that we got all that out of the way, we can actually get into the video. So the first thing that I really wanted to get into is I feel like a lot of artists are not really rushing their albums, but they're rushing the rollout of the albums or just skipping it entirely. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I know that a lot of rap fans, for example, prefer to just have the music thrown at them kind of, versus I know a lot of these more like peculiar artists like to do really fun sort of interactive things with their fans. I can think of Halsey right now, especially with her Badlands rollout, or Quedeka, like I said earlier, with the Vanisher rollout, doing these little Easter egg things for their fans on their websites, or having phone numbers, or having posters to go find and scavenger hunts. I think it's really fun. I think it's really creative. I think either way can be good depending on your fan base. But I think a lot of that is you have to make sure that if you are doing a rollout that you keep it kind of concise these days. Nobody really wants a rollout that's more than like 4 months. I think people start to really lose interest after that. If you're not releasing a song like every month or every other month, people kind of just forget about it. And that's no one's fault. That's not the artist's fault. I think a lot of it has to do with how fast-paced our trends move these days and what we give our attention to, because we get so much information every day from our phones and everything. It's really hard to keep track of everything unless you specifically as the listener are interested in this artist or this album. And of course, like I just said, that is no fault of the artist for making like a bad rollout or a long rollout or whatever. Do what you please. It is your art. If you want to create a whole new website, or if you want to create a secret Tumblr page for your fans to find, do it. It is so fun. I love going on these little internet scavenger hunts to find things. I think it brings a community together. I think it is like some of the most fun that I've ever had in a fan base is during rollout season. But I want to talk about artists who don't really do rollouts anymore. I've noticed that a lot of artists recently have just been like, oh, by the way, I'm coming out with an album next week, so be prepared. I saw that happen with, I think Earl Sweatshirt did that. I know Tyler does that. I know Kendrick did that. And I'm not saying it's like all rap artists do that, because Childish Gambino didn't do that. I think The Weeknd didn't really do that. I really like how some of these artists, these rap artists, these R&B artists, really like to create worlds with their albums. A lot of these artists have really good concept albums, which is something that I talked about recently. And I think that concept albums is the perfect chance to create this sort of immersive, interactive feeling with your fans. And I think a lot of that has to do with the pre-album rollout. When you create new websites, when you put up new posters, when you make fans find things that put them into the mentality of the world that you're trying to create. I've noticed that now what's happening is a lot of artists will do that after the album is already out. So after people have already gotten the chance to listen and sort of understand the album a little bit better, that is when they have these new interactive things to do, these new things to find, these like QR codes that lead you places, or you have like post-release album parties and all stuff like that, which is fun. I think it's really cool, but I think it sort of takes away from that pre-album anticipation, which I really enjoy. Because one thing about an album rollout is it is supposed to make you anticipate that album, make you be excited for an album to come out. It's not really just releasing singles every month or so. It's more about, again, interacting with your fans. I think that is so important for a good album, is it has to be somewhat interactive. That's why for sure I think all of the best albums are concept albums of some sort. I think all of the best albums are something that you can really fully immerse yourself in as a listener, whether that be feeling transported into a new world, or something in the case of like Halsey, again, like I just said, or I guess even Melanie Martinez does it at times. Really bringing these elements of the album to the listener. So are album rollouts really dead? Is nobody doing this anymore? No, of course not. They're not dead. People still do this all the time. You just really have to look for it. And I'm not saying that it's not that an artist isn't passionate about their art. I think a lot of artists just want their art to be out there and to let fans do whatever they want after the art is already there. Sometimes, of course, I think artists have a very specific vision, and that is when they do a very clear-cut rollout of, this is what I want the visual for the album to be, or this is what I want you to feel when listening to the album. And then I think there are some albums that are very, I don't want to say like wishy-washy, but they are a little less clear cut. I think it's sort of, you can feel what you want when you listen to it, you can interpret it however you want, and then in a couple of weeks the artist will be like, well, actually that wasn't my vision, which is fine. And then that's when they go and they throw all these new things at you. Sometimes it comes in the form of merch, sometimes it comes in the form of a creepy website, sometimes it comes in the form of an Instagram post. I think that's just sort of the day and age that we're in now, where everything is so social and so online and so fast-paced that you have to be fast-paced to keep up with it. Like I was saying before, literally our world moves so fast. There are 10 million things that happen in a day that you honestly just can't keep up with all of it as a listener. Especially as someone who's a fan of so many artists, sometimes it is hard to honestly keep up with like an interactive rollout at times. It's crazy, but that's honestly what makes it so fun. That's what makes a good rollout. That's what makes it so... Some of the greatest people that I've ever met have been online during an album rollout, because so much happens that it really does bring you closer to the people that you are trying to figure stuff out with. And I think that is part of, you know, honestly, maybe sometimes the album rollout is the friends you made along the way. And I think that that is okay. But yeah, that's really all the thoughts that I had about album rollouts right now. I felt like I had a little bit more to say, but I think that was honestly it. It's just been an observation of mine, seeing that some artists aren't really doing album rollouts as much anymore, and I just wondered if you guys have noticed that too, or if I'm just going crazy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I fear that my videos will be getting a lot shorter. Not a lot shorter, but they will be getting a little bit shorter now that semester is starting up again. I thoroughly apologize for that, guys. My bad, but I'm gonna try to be introspective with y'all. I'm gonna try to put all of my thoughts on here when I can. Still gonna be as weekly as I can. I'm not gonna miss a single week, I promise. Maybe. But that's all I have to say. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go now. Bye!